On a broad square in the heart of Cairo stands a great rose-colored palace of a building, and for more than 100 years, it held the richest hoard of ancient treasure on earth. Behind its salmon walls wait the golden mask of a boy king, the silent faces of pharaohs, and tens of thousands of objects drawn from 5,000 years of the Nile. It is one of the most storied museums ever built, a single house that came to hold the memory of an entire civilization. Welcome to the Egyptian Museum of Cairo. We are on Tahrir Square, in the very heart of modern Cairo, only a short distance from the banks of the Nile. Around the museum, the great city roars, a capital of many millions on the river that gave Egypt life. Yet beyond the gates the centuries fall away, for here on this busy square sits the old National Museum, a quiet island of antiquity in the middle of one of the largest cities in Africa and the Arab world. Before us rises the museum itself, a stately neoclassical building washed in a warm rose and salmon color that glows against the Cairo sky. Grand columns and tall arched windows line its long facade, and a broad forecourt of palms and statues and a still reflecting pool spreads before the entrance. It was built to look like a temple to the past, a dignified home worthy of the wonders within, and its distinctive pink walls have become one of the best-known sights in the whole city. The great square that holds the museum is Tahrir Square, the beating civic heart of Cairo. Around it stand government buildings, grand hotels, and streets that stream endlessly with the life of the modern capital. For generations, this plaza has been the crossroads of the nation, and standing at its edge, the old museum has watched the whole story of modern Egypt unfold, from empire to independence and beyond, guarding its ancient treasures through it all. The building we see today opened its doors in the year 1902. Designed by a French architect and raised in a grand European style, it was the first purpose-built museum of its kind in the region, meant to gather Egypt's scattered antiquities under a single roof at last. For over a century, it would remain the home of the national collection, welcoming scholars and travelers from every corner of the world who came to stand face to face with the age of the pharaohs. Yet the story begins earlier, in the 1800s, with a French archaeologist named Auguste Mariette. In an age when the tombs of Egypt were being stripped and their treasures carried off, Mariette set out to gather and protect the country's heritage before it vanished forever. From the national collection he first assembled grew everything that followed, and the museum stands as the fulfillment of his purpose, a place built to keep the wonders of Egypt in Egypt, safe from the long plunder of the past. Within these walls waits a collection almost beyond counting. Tens of thousands of objects stand on display, and many thousands more lie waiting in the vaults below, so many that a visitor could return again and again for a lifetime and never see them all. Statues and jewels, coffins and papyri, everyday tools and royal regalia crowd the halls in staggering abundance. It is less a museum than a treasure house, holding the accumulated memory of one of the oldest civilizations the world has ever known. Inside, the museum opens into vast, high-ceilinged halls ranged around a central atrium, their long colonnades and balconies lined with antiquities from floor to ceiling. Light falls from above onto avenues of stone, and gallery after gallery stretches away, arranged across two great floors. To move among them is to travel through the ages of Egypt in order, from the earliest dynasties to the age of the Greeks and Romans, the whole sweep of a civilization laid out beneath one grand roof. Among the halls stand the giants. Colossal statues of kings and queens rise far overhead, carved from granite and limestone, their calm stone faces gazing out across the centuries. Here sit pharaohs enthroned in eternal stillness, and here the great pair of a king and his queen, larger than life, look serenely down upon all who come before them. To stand at the feet of these immense figures is to feel the full weight and ambition of the age that raised them. For most of its life, the museum held its most dazzling prize of all, the treasures of the boy King Tutankhamun. When his nearly untouched tomb was uncovered, it gave up a hoard of wonders such as the world had never seen, and the greatest of it came here to Cairo. Gilded shrines and thrones, jeweled collars, chariots, and gilded couches, all the golden furnishings prepared to carry a young pharaoh into eternity, gathered together in a single glittering array. And at the heart of that treasure shone the most famous object in all of Egypt, the golden funerary mask of Tutankhamun. Wrought of solid gold and inlaid with deep blue stone and colored glass, it once lay upon the face of the young king, and its calm golden gaze has become the very emblem of ancient Egypt itself. For decades it drew travelers from across the world to this one room, a face of gold that seems to hold, in a single serene expression, the whole splendor of a vanished age. The museum long guarded another wonder still, the mummies of the pharaohs themselves. Here rested the preserved bodies of the great kings of Egypt, rulers whose names echo across 3,000 years, gathered together after their tombs were emptied and their remains brought to safety. To come before them is to stand in the actual presence of history, face to face with the very kings who built temples and empires along the Nile, kept and honored across the ages within these walls. For more than 100 years this was, quite simply, the greatest collection of ancient Egyptian antiquities anywhere on Earth. No other place held so much of a single civilization in one house, and generations of scholars, artists, and dreamers made their pilgrimage here to learn the secrets of the Nile. The old museum on Tahrir became a landmark of world culture, a name spoken with reverence wherever the story of ancient Egypt was told. In recent years, a new chapter has begun to open. Out near the pyramids of Giza rises a vast new museum, the Grand Egyptian Museum, built to display Egypt's heritage on a scale never before attempted. Many of the old museum's greatest pieces, the treasures of Tutankhamun foremost among them, have been carefully moved there to a grand new home. It is a passing of the torch, the ancient wonders carried from the old rose-colored palace to a gleaming modern hall beneath the shadow of the pyramids. Yet the old museum on Tahrir endures, and it remains full of wonders still. Its halls hold countless statues and sarcophagi, jewels and carvings and everyday treasures of the Nile, more than enough to fill days of quiet marvel. Beloved by the city that surrounds it, the rose-colored building keeps its place as a cherished landmark of Cairo, an elder among museums whose long story is far from over, still guarding the memory of Egypt at the heart of its greatest city. A rose-colored palace on a busy square, a golden mask that became the face of an age, and the silent kings of Egypt gathered under one roof. For more than a century, this house held the memory of a whole civilization, and it holds its wonders still. Thank you for watching. Follow for more interesting people, places, and things we cover on the channel.